Hello! Today I'm just doing a quick intro to this video, which is a recording of a very long conversation that I had with Jay from the channel My Quarter Life Crisis. We are good new, internet friends, and we've chatted a couple times on Zoom. So the first time we came together with some suggestions to recommend each other a book, and we ended up basically wanting to read all the suggestions of each other's list. So created a TBR for both of us. You'll be able to go watch her video, which she already posted, about us discussing the books that I recommended her, and that includes books like Sisters of the Traveling Pants, Little Women, and The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. We also talk about film and TV adaptations. So I'll link that in the description below. The conversation that follows is about 4 of the books that I read that she suggested to me. I really enjoyed the experience. I've tried to edit as much as possible. It was very difficult. We had such an interesting conversation. It lasted over 2 hours. It was a fantastic opportunity to talk about books. So yeah, I've done 4 of the books. I will be posting the 5th one in a separate video, probably right about now. So I'll be linking it through. And that video is about the Family Fang. That conversation took a huge chunk of our talk together, and I just wanted to post the whole thing because it was just such a good chat. We talked about so many things in this book, and I think Jay was so pleased to talk about it to someone. And if anyone's read it, you can come and watch it and let us know what you thought. And without further ado, enjoy.
So, hello to our shared internet friends. We're back. The dynamic duo is back. I feel like suddenly all the brain cells have left my body. It's too early for them.
Yeah, for viewers, like it's the afternoon for me, but it's very early for Jay in the US.
To recap what is happening here, in October, Camila and I met for the first time, like virtually, to recommend each other a bunch of books. And throughout November, we read those books. Well, those are the only books I read. I know that you had a TBR that was a mile long.
I didn't quite read that much, but these were some of the books, maybe a third of the books I read.
Okay. Got it. But still more than me, and you definitely I felt like you feel like Icarus flying too close to the sun all the time with how many books you read. I'm like, how the hell does she do it?
Well, that's why I feel like I'm plummeting now. And I'm taking a very chill December because I feel like I've overdone it.
2-book TBRs. We must normalize them.
Okay, so out of the 5 books that I did read, I really enjoyed all of them. I think I had 2 that I really loved. And the other ones were kind of like, I had a really good time, but they were more like 3.5 stars, just kind of average. But there's something about all of them that I really like. So maybe I should start. Okay, let's start with how to this is how you lose a time war.
Tell me your feelings.
So I listened to it twice because after listening to the first time, by the end, I was starting to understand what was going on.
I think that's fair because I remember when I read it for like a readathon, and if I zoned out for even 1 second, I would come back and I would be lost. So I kind of I see your point there.
So I re-listened to the whole thing again. And I think it's really interesting because my biases really came through. I realized, I think it took me to about quarter or half of the first listen to get that they were 2 kind of female identifying characters, whichever
or
their
coded
entities
female
were. Exactly. So I thought I
really
kind of
funny.
reassessed my own biases of reading a kind of love story.
I think I would have liked it not as much if it was a heterosexual romance. So it's
I thought it was really interesting that it was 2 female because of also the power dynamic of them being after each other's each events that they were at.
Yeah.
So I thought that was that was an interesting take on that. I I feel like it was too short. That was
That's fair.
my main problem with it, because I feel like I wanted it to develop more. Like I was so into it, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I would love there was a bit more also of the romance. I feel like I would have loved to see it develop more. I feel like it takes a really sharp turn and it suddenly is super serious, and I was just like, oh. Like I wish it had been
Yeah.
more, which I think, to be fair, I feel it's rare that say to a book I wish it had been longer. I feel like
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, that's true. And I think like I agree with that because I remember like when I read it, I was like thinking, I don't know if this is the a correct critique of it, but I kind of wanted more details about the Time War,
Yeah,
because I know like the story is about their romance, but I wanted to know about like how does this how does being on opposite ends of this conflict affect the relationship. And I wanted and like the world building was like so like confusing, but like there's a
yeah, it
lot.
was.
Yeah, there's a lot to process about the world building, so I did want like more details about it, that like you could have made like a 14-hour audiobook like about this
Yeah,
conflict.
it's very funny because I feel like the shortness of it made you. I think it showed that the Time War wasn't actually that important.
Mm,
'Cause obviously, it was just the context in which they were having their kind of romance, and it's the whole like at opposite sides, and I think that was what it was important. But yeah, I feel like the world building would have been fun. It would have been great to know more,
yeah.
and I do feel like I was kind of very invested in that as well.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because I think was it over the summer or early autumn, we watched Loki,
Mhm.
which has to do with timelines, and it's basically people trying to correct timelines, and they go in and they like bomb a timeline so it stops existing, so those people are like, well, we exist. And I feel like I could understand a little bit more about this book because I had that in mind, which
Mhm.
is a bit weird, but I feel like if I hadn't been watching that TV show, I would have been really confused with this like timeline thing and the different ways that they were playing with it. I don't know if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
No, I get it. I mean, like I only read it once, and I don't think I could explain to you like what
Yeah.
the Time War was. Like I really like didn't get it. I was just here for the yearning.
Yeah, and it was very lyrical, and that was what I really enjoyed. And the audiobook was the way it was. I think they, I think it was actually two different actresses who were
I
narrating, but
think so
also they could
too.
have picked two slightly more different voices. I feel like 'cause sometimes I was really confused, like who was talking, and then you have the blue and the red, and also I love like all the different uh synonyms they use for the colors. So
Yeah.
I love that. It was so beautiful, and I just loved the ending. I thought it was so romantic, like so, I don't know, so strong.
Like we love the vibe of it, but like we could not do this for a book report.
But yeah,
So
genuinely, I like the experience of it, and also really interesting how it's two different authors. You could really feel
mhm,
that in the way that it was written,
mhm,
like in the different voices. But also,
mhm.
I wasn't exactly sure why. I guess it was like almost like a collaboration that they wanted to do, maybe. But
Yeah. I think that like one of the voices or like one of the characters, I can't remember like which one's blue and which one's red, but I could kind of tell who was who because like one of them was like more like flirty and more a little abrasive than
yeah,
the other. Like the other, like one of the characters felt really smooth, like a really like calm, like sort of like lake or something like that. Me trying to
yeah,
string metaphors together this early in the
yeah, yeah.
morning. And and like the other person was like a little bit like bolder in their letters and things
Yeah,
like
it
that.
was
So
true.
that's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I feel like it's a man and a woman who wrote this, right? I feel like
Yeah, I think so,
I think
yeah.
maybe that's why I thought the characters were
Mm,
like they're same kind of gender. Um, but yeah, genuinely, I
yeah.
thought yeah, it was really beautiful, really well written. So let's go with we should hang out sometime. I really, really enjoyed that. It's funny because when I remember when you were recommending it to me, at first I was like, oh, that sounds so interesting, like in a fun like story, and then realized that it was obviously nonfiction, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that adds like this element of an interesting like life story and life experience.
Mhm.
I thought it was nice that it was short, because I feel like
Yeah.
these kind of nonfiction are like, it's good to go to the point. I thought it was really relatable. I don't know if it's the same with you, but obviously going to girls' school, like I didn't date till I was in college, and I thought it was really relatable that he was just like, I didn't have a girlfriend until like whatever, and I was like, oh yeah, I could definitely see myself in this.
Yeah.
This kind of awkward
Yeah.
relation, like rapport people.
Yeah. I think that's why I picked it up like in the first place, because like I was also like I could also strongly relate to like this late bloomer type mentality. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the disability aspect, which obviously is just, it's part of his life, and by the end you realize it's so much part of him that he needs to accept before other people accept it. And I thought that was really great.
Mhm.
But I thought that like there's so much things that I feel like I learned by
Mhm.
like when he explains about like above the knee amputees and like,
Yeah.
or like below the knee, and the way that you can wear your prosthetics. And obviously I ended up googling him and like finding his Instagram, and
Yeah.
he's like a very interesting, and I love all his Halloween costumes that he's done
Yes.
based on just the one, having his one leg, because he stopped wearing his prosthetic. So
Yeah.
I thought that was just so, yeah, I love to hear experiences from people who have like, or different than me, or like not different but have different experiences. And I think that that was definitely a plus. It was so good. It's
Mhm.
funny because at first I thought this book had the potential of being a little bit incel-y.
Incelly.
No,
Oh no.
no, but
I'm like
because
Josh.
no, it wasn't. It
Okay.
wasn't at all. It's just I'm saying
Okay,
it had the
good.
potential for that because of the way that he was just like, oh, why aren't girls dating me? Blah blah blah. And
Mm,
then by
got
the
it.
end, like, and I was like, oh gosh, okay. And when
Yeah.
he's messaging girls to be like, so what went wrong? Like, why didn't we date? And I was
Funny.
just like, oh, that's so awkward.
That is so funny. Okay.
But I loved that by the end he realized that he needed to, like, it was never about the girls. It was always about him,
Yeah.
and how he hadn't been ready, or like hadn't been completely maybe honest with himself in the way that he was ready, or okay with himself basically, and his disability and stuff. So I thought that that was such a great conclusion,
Yeah.
because I thought that that brought the book together like so well,
Yeah.
and it
So
really
funny.
shows like the personal memoir aspect, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's so funny that like the messaging feels like nerve-wracking, because like I am a nosy person. I totally would have done some shit like this when I was that age I was when I read this book. Like at the time I was like, I'm gonna be a journalist one day. So like I am totally comfortable asking people questions. But like I was like reading about him like crafting these messages. I was like, ooh, like what message would I craft to like my past ex crushes? Like how would I? And I'm like, that totally would have worked and wouldn't have been weird or creepy to do at all. And I'm like, as someone who has grown out of the wanting to be a journalist phase, I'm like, yeah, I'm really glad I never did
Probably
that.
best.
So yeah, so I see that point. Like, hey, so like, why didn't you date me like 20 years ago when we were
Yeah,
in high
yeah.
school? So I
But
get it.
I do like that kind of questioning, because I like that he clearly is just like a nice guy, and he was just like, I just am researching this for this book,
Yeah.
and trying to research like what, like, and also I think it's good for people to learn. I think if you're open to hearing what potentially you did wrong, or like clearly that's kind of why he was going into these things, right? He wasn't just like, why didn't you date me? It was just
Yeah.
like, what can I do? Like, what's the situation? And I kind of
Yeah.
like that, because he was kind of on a personal quest, which he realizes at the end, when he realizes that it is actually just a personal, like,
Yeah.
self confidence quest. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it actually. I thought it was really, really good.
I mean, I was iffy about that book. Like, not iffy, like I stand by most of my recommendations to you, but I was like, this is really short. Camila reads way more intelligent books than this.
It's so
like,
funny because that is the
satisfied.
one I was least excited about in this list. When I was just like, if I don't find it, fine, you know. But then I found it and I was like, okay, I'll get it and I'll listen to it. And I was like very pleasantly surprised by how good it was. So I thought I definitely took a lot from it. I think I'm glad that I read it.
That's the most I could have hoped for. So I'm glad.
So we have 2 books left, and they're the 2 that were definitely 4.5 stars for me.
Okay.
So let's start with Barbara the Slut. I think that was my favorite.
Oh my God, you know, that's so funny because like I was like, you have no idea how much I anguished over Barbara the Slut. Like
what?
Because like I hadn't read it since I was 20. And so like in my brain, I was like, I think this must be good, but I'm gonna like read a couple of chapters, get the vibe for it before I recommend it. And then I just didn't do that. And then I was just so emboldened. Like I was like, it'll be fine. Like, and then like afterwards I was like, is that too simple? Like I couldn't, like I was so worried.
It was so good.
That's so fun. Okay, now I have to read it. Like now I have to know like oh my God, that was like that was like the plot twist of this video. Like I truly wasn't. Oh
my God, it's funny because like my only comment is so good! Exclamation!
Oh my God, tell me more. Tell me about how good my recommendation was.
Okay. So I think that it's fair that, like you said, you read it when you were younger. I feel like this book is perfect for 20 to 22, 23. It's probably like the perfect age to read this. And I feel like it probably would have been 5-star for me at that age. Because I feel like it represents, or maybe not, because I guess you're living through it. But now I'm 10 years later and I'm just like looking back at that. And like in retrospect, like you can really see the kind of anguish, and I don't know, there's all of these feelings that you have when you are kind of at the cusp of graduating and entering a real life. And I think that this represented those feelings so well. Like a relationship breaking down because you're not in college anymore and you're moving, you know, your life is moving on and you're changing as a person, being unhappy with your job or like trying to find something that you love. And it's just all of these feelings that I thought were just perfectly expressed in these short stories, and all so different as well, which is what I love, because I hate short story collections that are all the same. And I feel like that had such a range. I mean, there's a story like from the perspective of a dog, like like there's just so many different. I loved it. And Barbara the Slut, that short story, I think was very frustrating because it was so realistic and so it was just so real, like the fact that she's like the double standard obviously with female sexuality and the way that she's just nicknamed that and how much it's impacted her and even her brother. And I just thought it was beautiful. There's a couple of other ones that really stayed with me. I should have made note of them. One of them was the one of the girl who worked in the lesbian sex shop.
Oh, I remember that. I like that one.
Yeah, because I love that. I feel like I didn't work in a lesbian sex shop, but I feel like when I graduated and even after my master's and I was moving in with my, you know, then boyfriend, now husband, and just like trying to find a job that you like, trying to find something that you're good at and where you fit in, and like being a bit depressed, like when at the end when she's just crying while holding a dog, I was just like, I felt it very hard. It was just I thought it was just so, it represented that age and that kind of turn of life so well. So I thought it was just beautiful.
Oh my God, hit you right in the quarter life crisis feels.
Like really, very, very much so.
Oh my God, I can only imagine like being like, I'm a grown woman, like I can be fine. Oh my God, like feeling like the repressed memories rising to the surface.
Exactly.
the anguish of like wanting a job, like I feel that very
Yeah.
strongly. Oh my god, I'm so glad. That makes me so happy. I remember when I read it, one of my favorite stories in it was the one where like that girl, like she really wants to break up with her boyfriend just because he's like boring. It was
Which
like, I
one is
will
that?
crawl to a rally if I have to.
Oh, yes, that one. That was very relatable as well, actually.
Yeah.
I've had,
It was,
I feel like I could see myself in college having this exact moment.
yeah. It was such like a small like story. Like the conflict is so small. It's just like I want to break up with my boyfriend, but I like the perspective of like he's just boring. And it
Yeah.
like and it's
Mm,
not that he did anything wrong. It's just
yeah.
that like he didn't do anything right. And you have
Yeah.
to cut him. He was just so like, and I just found like he was just so needy too. I thought it was really funny how like
Well, it's funny because I also thought that in his neediness at the end, she was also not very, that was very relatable to me, I found, because at that age, sometimes you're not as clear as you could be because they're like, okay, well,
yeah.
we'll talk in college. And she's like, no, he's like, okay, well, I'll see you when we go back to uni. And then that's how it ends. And you're just like, oh God, girl, you're in for a mess.
So funny.
All right. So let's get to the last book, which was You Should See Me in a Crown by, I think it's Leah Johnson.
Yes.
So I really like this. And it's really funny because when I started it, I had really weird vibes about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, okay, the main thing is I don't know why it had to be a pageant. Okay. I was just like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, don't come from that kind of culture. Don't come from the US. I've never seen any pageant, much like, and obviously went to all girls school. So there was no like proms and queen of whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
there was never any of that. So for me, it felt like unrelatable, like that kind of a high school experience. But also, I've watched loads of teen TV, so also know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then also because there was the clear racial element that she keeps feeling because everyone is white
Mm-hmm.
and she feels very different and I guess ostracized in a way. And I wasn't seeing where it was gonna go. So at the beginning, I found I didn't really connect with until I kind of got a better feeling for the character and what she was kind of going for, and I then obviously loved it.
Okay.
Okay, long story short, I loved it.
Yes.
Because I love the way because there were so many things at the beginning, all of them, the way that they were weaved together throughout and the way that it ended, I just thought was just so beautiful. I think you'd said like, you laughed and you cry when you'd read it. So, and I felt like the same when I was reading it. Like it was so lovely and warm. And at the same time, like there was some frustrating bits, but generally I feel like it was a very heartwarming movie. What am I doing? It's a very heartwarming book.
I thought you were gonna say TV show like after that. Like I don't know, like it feels kind of like a visual media. It doesn't feel like a book as much.
Yeah,
Like
I think that's true.
yeah.
Actually, it did feel very visual, and I think that was a very good quality to it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's also why the beginning I wasn't really clicking because it felt like it was also like a lot of exposition of things that I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
including like the town and like the high school and like the mean girl and like all of those things. So yeah, and also like her, I guess, financial situation with going off to university and not having the money that she expected, I guess, in financial aid.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so all of that I thought like was going towards something good, but confusing in the beginning. And then like I had a lot of mixed feelings about the friendship and relationship. But I thought at the same time, okay, so why have this thing obviously when they're like ready to die for the person they're dating, I feel like a second.
Yeah.
And I felt like she ditches her friends so quick when she gets her girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then she gets mad at her friend for feeling left out. And I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like so many people do that, especially with their first kind of boyfriend, girlfriend. So I was like, it's very relatable, but also it's also relatable from the other side as a person who's been left behind.
Mhm.
and I guess a slight jealousy aspect, that you
Yeah.
kind of go through. But
Yeah.
generally, I thought that the relationship was really beautiful. I thought that that was really nice, actually, the way that was.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, always a little miscommunication,
Yeah. Yeah.
but generally, I feel like they were so well connected, and like the way that they. I don't know. I just love when she goes where she's a tutor, or she volunteers with the kids,
Yeah.
and then she
Yeah.
brings her girlfriend there, and I just thought that all of these things were so beautiful, and it really builds their friendship as well, which I
Yeah.
think is so important. So I thought
Yeah.
that was really well done. Yeah, I
Mhm.
really like that aspect.
Yeah. And I kind of like, I also like see where the friends are coming from with being jealous of the new girlfriend, because that, I think they don't even know that she's dating, that they're
Yeah, yeah.
dating. Yeah. So I think it like, it kind of makes sense, because if it was like, if the main character, what was her name? Star?
Liz?
Liz. Okay.
Yeah, Lighty. Liz Lighty.
Oh, yeah. Like when Liz is like getting closer to her new girlfriend, I think her name was Amanda. Like her two best friends are like, why are you hanging out with this girl all the time? So it just feels like she's being replaced
Yeah,
by new friends, when like
yeah,
they don't realize that like they're dating. So it's like,
yeah,
which I think they would have excused a little bit more. But I thought that was, but yeah, like overall, I thought like their relationship was really well done. And even the miscommunication, I didn't mind as much, because I'm like, I
yeah,
felt like,
yeah. Same.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was like, it was the more excusable of like miscommunications than like certain other ones. Because like, yeah, I can definitely see like Liz like not wanting to like say like, I'm not,
disclose the. Yeah,
yeah, I'm not out because I want to win prom queen. But like at the same time, like, actually no, I take that back. I think she should have like, she should have told her at some point, because I like the reason why she's running for prom queen is like so important. Like,
yeah. Exactly. I think that's, yeah.
yeah,
But at the same time, because there's financial difficulties, maybe that's why she also didn't want to say it's because I'm poor and I need to have the money to be able to go to university. Like,
mm,
I feel like that was the most realistic miscommunication of any YA that I've read, because it
yeah,
wasn't just like, oh no, I didn't tell him, I like them, or that was really just my friend. It was literally
yeah,
like, well, I can't tell her because she's gonna judge me, or I don't want her feelings to get hurt either.
yeah,
And the whole like, we can't come out, because it's not really about winning. It was
yeah,
very well at the beginning. I love that it transforms throughout, because it starts with the money and
yeah,
like her need for to go to uni and stuff, but then it kind of transforms into her becoming so proud and confident in herself,
yeah,
and with like the graffiti thing, and like her being just
yeah,
out there, like not out, but like
yeah,
being her out there,
yeah. Like she wants, like, it like transitions in her to her being like frustrated. Like, why can't I be prom queen? Why can't like
Yeah,
someone who looks
exactly.
like me be prom queen?
Yeah,
And like, so satisfying, the ending. I'm like,
it was,
I
I thought it
cried.
was great. Yeah,
Yes.
I love the ending. It was so, yeah, I think it was so heartwarming. Like, it was just so beautiful. I think a lot of YA are either like really realistic, or there's like a bit of the happy ever after, but this one felt like earned.
Yeah. Yeah, it really did. Yeah,
So I think
I liked
that's
it.
why I liked it. That's why I loved it. I think it's just because I feel like the whole background for it, and the build up of the relationships and the friendship and everything, I feel like all of that was just so earned. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a really lovely book, and like a really nice experience.
Okay. I'm so glad. Like, I was confident that that one would land, but I also was like, you recommended her a YA book? Like, can you like I was like trying to go through the Rolodex in my brain like 20 minutes before we logged on to Zoom, like, where are the smart books that I read in like recent memory? But like, I still stand by that recommendation, because I felt like I had picked it specifically like based on what I had seen on your Goodreads, because you had
Yeah.
wanted to read The Hate You Give. So I was like,
Yeah, I think
I
that when you
stand by
said
it.
that, I was a bit worried, because I was like, oh, how, because I've only seen the movie of The Hate You
Mhm.
Give, but it's quite like a heavy books that I
Yeah.
was like really worried is going to be like that with this one as well. And I wasn't
Yeah.
I've not quite been in a mood for really, really heavy book
Yeah.
over the last 2 years. So I feel like this was just a perfect kind of balance, I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah. And that was exactly why I want to recommend it to you, because like it hits like similar themes, but in a so much like lighter, like happier package. So I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
this is gonna work. Like, oh my gosh, we did it.
We
I
did.
should have known we were gonna take 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we had 5 books to talk about each, you
I
know?
know.
It's not that
I
bad, really.
know.
2 hours for 10 books.
That's when you're two passionate like book fans, like
I know. I
yeah,
feel like we could
2
have
hours
kept
can
going
be
as
that.
well. If we weren't time restricted, I feel like we could
Yeah,
have kept going.
I know. But yeah,
But
I mean,
it was really fun. I feel like it was a really fun experience to like pick each other's books. And I feel like we
yeah,
should definitely do this again.
yes, yeah. I want you to go like challenge me more and try to like give me like harder books, because
I'll
like
go for a different vibe next time. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for watching and congratulations for making it to the end of this very long-winded video. I really hope you enjoyed our conversation. Thanks to Jay so much for her time and her enthusiasm and her recommendations. And I cannot wait to do another one with her again. And I hope in 2022, actually, I'll be doing more buddy reads generally. So get in touch if you'd like to do one with me. And don't forget to go and check out Jay's channel to support her and also watch, the other side of our conversation. And hey, see you back. Bye.